Marcus, 7 was the kind of hacker who could break into the Galactic Federal Reserve while simultaneously playing interdimensional chess and eating a sandwich. Not just any sandwich, mind you, but one of those impossibly complex 12-layer Andromedan Club sandwiches that required advanced engineering degrees just to bite properly. He'd done exactly that last Tuesday, stealing 47 billion credits and winning the chess championship, all while leaving a digital signature that spelled out, "Your security is adorable," in ancient Martian hieroglyphs. The theft had taken him exactly 3.7 seconds. The sandwich had taken longer. Now Marcus, 7 sat in the command center of the Galactic Invasion Fleet, tentacles dancing across holographic keyboards that existed in 17 different dimensions simultaneously. His species didn't actually have tentacles, but he'd upgraded himself with mechanical ones specifically for typing faster. Because when you're the most feared cyber warrior in known space, regular appendages are for amateurs. Marcus, 7, boomed Commander Boris from his floating command throne, which was shaped like a disco ball for reasons nobody questioned anymore. "We need you to infiltrate Earth's computer systems before we begin the invasion. Intelligence suggests they have some sort of primitive digital infrastructure." Marcus 7's laugh sounded like a computer having an existential crisis. "Primitive? Commander, I once hacked the quantum sphinx of Rigel just to prove it wasn't actually that mysterious. These humans still use something called keyboards, apparently. Physical buttons. Can you imagine? It's like they're communicating through interpretive dance." The holographic display flickered to life, showing grainy images of what appear to be beige boxes with tiny screens attached. Boris gestured with one of his 3 arms. "Our intelligence indicates they call these personal computers. Analysis suggests they operate on binary code." Binary. Marcus 7's cybernetic eye twitched with what might have been sympathy. "Commander, I mastered quantum dimensional programming when I was still in diapers. Binary code is literally counting to 2. These humans are trying to rule a planet using the technological equivalent of counting on their fingers." The other officers in the command center chuckled in frequencies that could shatter glass on 17 different worlds. Marcus, 7 was on a roll now, his confidence growing with each dismissive comment. "I bet their security is probably something obvious like password or 1234. Their most advanced hackers probably need instruction manuals just to turn these machines on." "The mission is simple," Boris continued, clearly enjoying the show. "You have 72 Earth hours to penetrate their military networks, financial systems, and social media platforms. Once we have complete digital control, the physical invasion will be a formality." Marcus, 7 was already mentally composing his victory report. "Commander, I'll have their entire digital infrastructure under our control before their sun sets. These humans won't know what hit them. I might even leave them a nice thank you note in their primitive databanks." The stealth pod launched from the mothership with all the grace of a falling refrigerator, which was exactly how Marcus 7 preferred it. Subtle was his middle name. Well, technically his middle name was Destroyer of Digital Realms, but Subtle sounded better in mission reports. As Earth grew larger in his viewport, Marcus 7 reviewed the intelligence files one more time. Humans averaged 1.7 meters in height, possessed only 2 arms, and apparently needed to blink their eyes regularly or they dry out. Their technology seemed frozen somewhere in what their historians called the late 20th century, which explained why they still needed physical keyboards to communicate with their machines. "This will be easier than stealing candy from a Rigelian baby," Marcus 7 muttered, then paused. "Actually, that's surprisingly difficult. Rigelian babies have laser vision, but this will definitely be easier than explaining quantum physics to a houseplant." The landing was flawless, if you ignored the small crater and the neighbor's mailbox that was now orbiting Jupiter. Marcus 7 emerged from his pod, immediately confused by the sight of tiny glowing rectangles in everyone's hands. The humans seemed to be talking to these devices, which was odd because according to his intelligence reports, Earth hadn't developed sentient technology yet. A sleek vehicle passed by, moving without any visible driver. Marcus 7's universal translator kicked in just in time to hear it say, "Your destination is on the right in 200 meters. The car was having a conversation with itself about something called GPS coordinates and traffic patterns. "That's unexpected," Marcus, 7 mumbled, pulling out his quantum scanner. The readings were all wrong. These weren't primitive electromagnetic signals. This was some kind of advanced wireless network that seemed to connect everything. Street lights were apparently gossiping with parking meters about weather patterns. He approached what looked like a house, noticing a small device by the door that immediately lit up, and said, "Someone's at your front door." Another device answered from somewhere inside the house. "I'm not expecting anyone. Check the camera feed." Marcus, 7 dub behind a bush, his stealth systems engaging automatically. Camera feed? These primitive humans had surveillance networks? His confidence took its first small hit, like a tiny crack in an otherwise perfect windshield. After circling the house 3 times and avoiding what appeared to be motion-activated security lights that were definitely not in the intelligence briefings, Marcus, 7 finally found an open window. Inside, he could see the familiar glow of a computer screen in what was obviously a young human's dwelling space. Finally, something that matched his expectations. The computer looked appropriately primitive, with an actual physical monitor and a keyboard with individual buttons. This was more like it. Marcus, 7 slipped through the window with practiced ease, his mechanical tentacles immediately interfacing with the machine. The password prompt appeared. Marcus, 7 cracked his knuckles dramatically, even though he didn't technically have knuckles anymore. Let's see what kind of laughably simple security these humans have devised. He ran his quantum analysis protocols, cross-referenced the behavioral patterns of the room's occupant, and applied advanced psychological profiling algorithms that could predict the favorite foods of entire civilizations based on their choice of furniture. The password was password 123. Exactly as I predicted. Marcus, 7 announced to the empty room, conveniently forgetting that his first 17 guesses had been variations of Earth Human Dwelling Unit Security Protocol and other equally unhelpful options. The desktop appeared, showing what appeared to be a collection of small pictographic representations of various programs. Marcus, 7 began his systematic infiltration, his mechanical tentacles dancing across the keyboard like a caffeinated octopus performing Shakespeare. Within minutes, he had access to the human's files, internet connection, and what appeared to be an entire network of similar machines. "Too easy," he muttered, already planning his victory speech. These humans have built their entire digital civilization on the technological equivalent of tissue paper and wishful thinking. His advanced alien technology was just beginning to map the connected networks when something appeared in the corner of the screen. A small rectangular notification that seemed innocuous enough, except for the ominous message it contained. "Windows update available. Your device will restart in 15 minutes. Marcus, 7 stared at the message, his cybernetic brain processing the words, but failing to comprehend their significance. His universal translator confirmed the language was correct, but the meaning seemed to defy all known laws of logical system administration. "Windows update," he muttered, scanning his vast databases of galactic technological terminology. No results found. One of the 17 dimensions of digital chaos is a Windows update. The small notification sat there innocently, a countdown timer ticking away the minutes like a bomb designed by someone with a particularly cruel sense of humor. 15 minutes to what exactly? And why was the computer announcing its own impending suicide? Marcus 7's confidence, which had been riding high on the success of guessing a password that a small child could have figured out, suddenly felt like it was standing on the edge of a very tall cliff. And someone had just mentioned that the ground beneath his feet might not be as solid as advertised. 14 minutes. Marcus, 7 stared at the countdown timer like it was a doomsday device disguised as a friendly notification. His quantum processors, which could calculate the trajectory of 17 different asteroid belts while composing epic poetry in dead languages, were completely stumped by this Windows update phenomenon. This must be some kind of security protocol, he reasoned, tentacles flying across the keyboard. Obviously, the humans have detected my intrusion and activated their defensive systems. Clever little meat-based creatures. He deployed his most advanced hacking tools, programs so sophisticated they had once made an artificial intelligence weep with joy just from witnessing their elegant code structure. Quantum decryption algorithms that could crack the fundamental mathematics of reality itself began their assault on the Windows update notification. The timer continued counting down. 13 minutes, 47 seconds. Impossible. Marcus, 7 muttered, switching to increasingly desperate measures. He tried clicking the small X in the corner of the notification. It disappeared for exactly 2 seconds before popping back up with renewed enthusiasm. Postponed for 1 hour, he read aloud, clicking the option with the relief of a drowning man grabbing a life preserver. The notification vanished. Marcus, 7, allowed himself a moment of victory before another identical notification immediately took its place. Windows Update available. Your device will restart in 15 minutes. His cybernetic eye began twitching in a rhythm that would have been hypnotic if anyone had been watching. This is psychological warfare, he declared, pulling up his communication array to contact the mothership. Commander Boris, I need immediate consultation on Earth's defensive systems. Static filled his earpiece, followed by Boris's voice crackling through interdimensional space interference. Marcus, 7, report. Have you successfully infiltrated their networks? Commander, the humans have deployed some kind of recursive temporal loop defense mechanism. They call it a Windows Update, and it appears to be designed to trap intruders in a perpetual cycle of system restarts. It's diabolical in its simplicity. Oh, what now? Every time I attempt to bypass their security, the system announces it will restart in 15 minutes. When I delay the restart, it immediately resets the countdown. It's like they've weaponized procrastination itself. Boris's laugh crackled through the static. Marcus, 7, you're the greatest hacker in 12 galaxies. Surely you can handle whatever primitive security these cave dwellers have cobbled together. Sir, I don't think you understand. This isn't primitive. This is advanced psychological torture disguised as system maintenance. They've created technology that attacks the mind rather than the processor. Just figure out, Marcus, 7. The invasion fleet is counting on you. The communication cut out, leaving Marcus, 7, alone with his countdown timer. 11 minutes, 23 seconds. Panic was non-emotion Marcus, 7 experienced often. When you successfully hack your way out of 3 different black holes and once convinced a supercomputer to question its own existence, panic tends to become a distant memory. But as he watched the timer tick down, he felt something suspiciously like terror creeping up his spine. He tried unplugging the computer. The screen went dark for exactly 1 second before a backup battery he hadn't known existed kicked in. The notification returned, now reading, installing updates. Do not turn off your computer. Installing updates. Marcus 7's voice cracked like a teenager asking someone to prom. Installing what updates? From where? Who authorized this? 8 minutes, 17 seconds. In desperation, he began physically examining the computer, looking for hidden transmitters or secret communication arrays that might explain this mysterious update source. His advanced scanning equipment detected no external connections beyond the standard internet infrastructure. The updates were apparently coming from something called Microsoft, which his databases indicated was some kind of Earth-based technology corporation. A corporation is holding me hostage, he whispered to himself. The most feared cyber warrior in known space is being defeated by corporate software policies. 5 minutes, 12 seconds. Marcus, 7, tried reasoning with the computer, something he'd never thought he'd need to do with a machine that wasn't artificially intelligent. Listen, Windows Update. I'm sure you're very important to someone, but I'm in the middle of infiltrating your planet's digital infrastructure. Could we perhaps schedule this for a more convenient time? Say, next century. The computer remained unmoved by his logical argument. 3 minutes, 41 seconds. In a last-ditch effort that bordered on the absurd, Marcus, 7, began trying to hack the update itself. If he couldn't stop it, maybe he could at least understand it. His advanced alien technology dove into the Windows Update servers, expecting to find the usual collection of security patches and minor bug fixes that civilized operating systems deployed. What he found instead was 47 different updates, ranging from Critical Security Update KB 5012345 to Update for Windows Defender Definitions, to something mysteriously labeled Cumulative Update for .NET Framework. The sheer scope was staggering. This wasn't a single update. It was an entire software renovation project disguised as routine maintenance. 47 updates. Marcus 7's voice rose to a pitch that could shatter wine glasses on 3 different continents. They're updating 47 different things simultaneously? What kind of masochistic approach to software maintenance is this? 1 minute, 57 seconds. This is it. Marcus, 7 announced dramatically to the empty room. The end of my legendary hacking career. Defeated not by quantum encryption or dimensional firewalls, but by scheduled maintenance from a company called Microsoft. The other hackers back home will never let me live this down. Assuming I survive whatever fresh hell these updates unleash upon this machine. 30 seconds. Marcus, 7 found himself holding his breath, which was ridiculous because his species didn't actually need to breathe oxygen. But terror had a way of making you forget basic biological facts about yourself. 15 seconds. 10. 5. The screen went black. For a moment, Marcus, 7 experienced hope. Maybe it had been a bluff. Maybe the computer was just trying to scare him and would boot back up normally, allowing him to continue his mission and pretend this whole embarrassing incident had never happened. Then the Windows logo appeared, spinning in a slow, hypnotic circle beneath the words, "Installing update 1 of 47. Marcus, 7 stared at the screen in horror. 1 of 47, he whispered. This is going to take. He began calculating, his advanced alien mathematics working frantically. If each update takes an average of 15 minutes, and there are 47 updates, accounting for restart time between installations and the possibility of updates that install other updates. His cybernetic eye widened in terror. The invasion fleet will be here in 72 hours. At this rate, I'll still be watching progress bars when they arrive. The spinning wheel continued its lazy rotation, completely indifferent to Marcus 7's existential crisis. Beneath it, a progress bar appeared, crawling forward with all the urgency of continental drift. Installing update 1 of 47. 3% complete. Marcus, 7 slumped in the chair, his mechanical tentacles falling limp at his sides. Somewhere in the distance, he could swear he heard the universe laughing at him. It was going to be a very long night. And somewhere in the back of his advanced alien mind, a terrible thought was beginning to form. What if this wasn't a defense mechanism at all? What if the humans actually lived like this? Hour 6. Marcus, 7 had been staring at progress bars longer than some civilizations had existed. The current display read, "Installing update 23 of 47, 67% complete," which according to his calculations should have been finished 3 updates ago. But apparently, Windows updates existed in some kind of temporal anomaly where mathematics went to die. This defies every known law of computational physics. Marcus, 7 muttered, his voice hoarse from 6 hours of increasingly creative cursing in 17 different alien languages. Progress bars are supposed to progress. It's literally in the name. You can't have a progress bar that moves backwards. That's like having a circle with corners or a quiet explosion. But move backwards it had. Marcus, 7 had watched in growing horror as Update 21 had cheerfully announced installing 89% complete before suddenly jumping back to installing 23% complete without explanation or apology. His advanced alien psychology was not equipped to handle technology that seemed to operate on the principle of maximum user frustration. He'd started keeping detailed logs, hoping to find some pattern in the madness. Hour 3.7. Update 15 claimed to be installing printer drivers. This computer is not connected to a printer. Hour 4.2. Update 18 spent 47 minutes configuring something called Cortana. I have run extensive scans. There is no entity named Cortana anywhere in this dwelling. Hour 5.6. The progress bar has developed what appears to be a sense of humor. It paused at 69% for exactly 4 minutes and 20 seconds. His quantum processors, designed to simultaneously calculate the orbital mechanics of entire solar systems, were now dedicated entirely to trying to predict when the next progress bar would complete. The results were disturbing. According to his most advanced algorithms, there was a 23% chance the updates would never finish, a 31% chance they would somehow install negative updates, and a 46% chance that the computer was just messing with him for entertainment. This is what insanity feels like. Marcus, 7 announced to the empty room. I'm having a psychological breakdown because of animated loading graphics. The greatest hacker in 12 galaxies, defeated by clip art that moves in a circle. Hour 7 brought new horrors. The computer suddenly emitted a sound that can only be described as the death cry of an electronic whale, and the screen turned an ominous shade of blue. White text appeared, filled with cryptic messages about IRQ and memory addresses that seemed to have been chosen by throwing darts at a board of random numbers. Finally, Marcus, 7, leaped from his chair, his mechanical tentacles dancing with joy. It's crashed. The torture is over. I can restart my mission and pretend this nightmare never happened. He waited for the computer to shut down completely so he could restart it properly. Instead, the blue screen flickered, disappeared, and was immediately replaced by the familiar spinning wheel of doom and the soul-crushing message. Installing update 24 of 47, 12% complete. Marcus 7's scream of anguish could be heard 3 houses away. It's immortal, he wailed. The updates are immortal. They survive their own crashes. This is beyond advanced technology. This is digital necromancy. The front door opened downstairs, and footsteps approached. Marcus, 7, dug behind the desk, his stealth systems engaging automatically, though at this point he wasn't sure why he bothered. Any species that had mastered the art of unkillable software updates probably had detection technology that could spot him regardless. "Oh hey," came a young human voice. "Windows updating again?" "Yeah, that takes forever." Marcus, 7, slowly peered over the edge of the desk. A human teenager stood in the doorway, looking at the progress bar with the casual indifference of someone observing the weather. No panic, no screaming, no desperate attempts to escape the digital purgatory that had consumed the last 7 hours of Marcus 7's existence. "You're not concerned?" Marcus 7's voice cracked with disbelief as he deactivated his stealth systems. There was no point hiding from someone who clearly had intimate knowledge of this technological torture device. The teenager shrugged, pulling out a small rectangular device that immediately began glowing. "Nah, this happens like every Tuesday. Sometimes it takes 6 hours, sometimes 12. I just play mobile games or watch Netflix on my phone while I wait." Marcus, 7, stared in horror. "This happens regularly, every Tuesday, and you just accept it. Dude, what else are you gonna do?" The teenager plopped into a chair, completely relaxed. "Fighting it just makes it worse. Last time I tried to cancel an update, it corrupted my entire system, and I had to reinstall Windows from scratch. That took 2 days. 2 days. Marcus 7's cybernetic eye began twitching again. "Your species voluntarily subjects itself to 2-day software installation procedures. Only when you mess with the updates. If you just let them do their thing, it's usually only a few hours." The teenager offered him what appeared to be a rectangular package. "Want some Pop-Tarts? I always stock up when I see the update notification." Marcus, 7, accepted the strange food item with trembling tentacles. "Ew. You prepare for these events? You have survival supplies." "Oh yeah, totally. See, the trick is to just accept that your computer's going to be useless for a while and find other stuff to do. I've got like 3 different gaming systems, a tablet, 2 phones, and a whole library of books for when everything else needs updating too." "Everything else needs updating too." Marcus 7's voice rose to a pitch that could summon dolphins. "This happens to multiple devices simultaneously." The teenager nodded cheerfully, while Marcus 7's worldview crumbled like a house of cards in a hurricane. "Sometimes my Xbox updates, while my computer updates, while my phone updates. It's like they coordinate or something. I call it Update Tuesday. Mom makes extra coffee on those days." Marcus, 7, looked around the room with new eyes and noticed what he'd missed before. Multiple gaming consoles, each with their own collection of blinking lights and status displays. A tablet on the desk showing iOS update available. A smart TV in the corner displaying system update in progress on a black screen. "Your entire technological ecosystem is simultaneously broken," he whispered. "Not broken, just updating. There's a difference. Broken means it doesn't work. Updating means it doesn't work yet, but it will work better later. Usually. Sometimes it works worse, but then they release another update to fix the update that broke the thing the previous update was supposed to fix." Marcus, 7, felt his quantum processors beginning to overheat. "You're describing a recursive loop of technological self-sabotage, and you speak of it like it's normal. Welcome to Earth, dude. Nothing works the way it's supposed to, but somehow we make it work anyway. That's kind of our thing. The computer chose that moment to cheerfully announce, installing update 25 of 47, 8% complete, and Marcus, 7, realized with growing terror that he was beginning to find the sound almost comforting, like the mechanical heartbeat of a very patient, very persistent technological deity who had all the time in the universe and absolutely no intention of being rushed. I think, Marcus, 7 said slowly, I'm starting to understand why your species hasn't been conquered yet. The teenager grinned. Yeah, we're pretty good at breaking stuff that's trying to break us. Want to play some Minecraft while we wait? I've got a world where I built a replica of the Death Star, but then a Windows update corrupted the save file. So now it looks like the Death Star had a really bad day. Marcus, 7, stared at the progress bar, which had somehow managed to decrease to 3% while he wasn't looking, and realized he was about to say yes. Hour 18. The computer screen displayed the most beautiful sight Marcus, 7, had seen in his entire existence. Updates complete. Your computer will restart to finish installing updates. It's over, he whispered, watching the screen go black one final time. The digital nightmare is finally over. But as the familiar Windows logo appeared and the desktop loaded, Marcus, 7, realized something had fundamentally changed. Not in the computer, which looked exactly the same as it had 18 hours ago, but in himself. He stared at the desktop wallpaper, a peaceful image of some Earth landscape, and felt an unexpected emotion. He didn't want to hack anything anymore. The teenager, whose name he'd learned was Jake, looked up from his phone where he'd been building virtual cities and destroying them with digital disasters for the past 6 hours. Oh sweet, it's finally done. Want to check out this new game I downloaded? It's about managing a space colony, but half the systems randomly break down and you have to keep everything running anyway. That sounds like torture, Marcus, 7, said automatically, then paused. Actually, that sounds educational. Jake grinned. Right? It's like Earth Simulator 2024. Nothing works properly, but somehow you make it work anyway. Very realistic. Marcus, 7, realized he was smiling, which was disturbing because his species didn't typically express joy through facial muscle contractions. Jake, I need to make a communication to my fleet. But first, I think I'd like to try this space colony game. Cool. Fair warning though, it updates pretty frequently, sometimes right in the middle of playing. Of course it does. Marcus, 7, sighed, but found he wasn't actually annoyed by the prospect. An hour later, Marcus, 7, activated his communication array. Commander Boris's face appeared in the holographic display, his 3 eyes blinking with anticipation. Marcus, 7, finally, please tell me you've successfully infiltrated their systems, and we can begin the invasion. Commander, I need to file a complete mission report with new strategic recommendations. Excellent. What did you discover about their defensive capabilities? Marcus, 7, took a deep breath. Sir, the humans have developed the most sophisticated psychological warfare system in the known galaxy. They call it Windows Updates, and it's absolutely diabolical. Boris leaned forward eagerly. Describe these weapons. They've created technology that deliberately breaks itself on a regular schedule, forcing the operators to develop infinite patience and adaptive problem-solving skills. It's like, imagine if we designed our battle cruisers to randomly shut down during combat, but instead of panicking, our crews just shrugged and found creative ways to fight with broken equipment. That makes no strategic sense whatsoever. Exactly. It's so illogical that it becomes brilliant. Commander, I watched a human teenager calmly accept that his entertainment devices would be non-functional for an entire day, and he had backup entertainment devices ready. When those started updating too, he pulled out physical books. Physical books, Commander. They've maintained redundant analog backup systems for their digital infrastructure. Boris's middle eye twitched. You're saying they've weaponized technological incompetence. Not incompetence, adaptation. They've built their entire civilization around the assumption that their technology will fail them regularly. So they've become incredibly resilient. They don't just have backup plans. They have backup plans for their backup plans. And they're happy about it. This is, Boris paused, processing the implications. This is actually terrifying. It gets worse, Commander. I've discovered they voluntarily install software updates that they know will break things. They call it staying current, and they do it knowing full well it might destroy hours of work. They've turned self-sabotage into a lifestyle choice. The other officers in the command center were gathering around Boris's throne, listening with growing alarm. Furthermore, Marcus 7 continued, they've developed entertainment media specifically designed to help them cope with technological delays. They have games about managing broken systems, movies about surviving impossible situations, and music about accepting chaos. They've turned suffering into art, Commander. Abort the invasion, Boris said suddenly. Sir, you heard me. Any species that has weaponized their own technological limitations is too dangerous to confront directly. We need to study them further before we attempt any kind of contact. Marcus 7 felt a wave of relief. Actually, Commander, I'd like to volunteer for extended reconnaissance duty. For the good of the Empire, of course. Of course. How long do you estimate you'll need? Oh, several years minimum. Maybe decades. These humans are incredibly complex. Did I mention they have something called printer drivers that make Windows updates look like a peaceful meditation exercise? Boris's face went pale. Several decades it is. Report back when you've learned everything you can about their technological warfare systems. The communication ended, leaving Marcus 7 alone with Jake, who was building a new virtual world on his tablet, while his computer ran a virus scan that was taking longer than the original updates. So, Jake said without looking up, I'm guessing you're not actually here to take over the planet. Marcus 7's stealth systems had apparently been useless against human intuition as well. How did you know? Dude, you've been talking to thin air for the past 10 minutes. You have tentacles that definitely aren't human, and you keep referring to Earth like you're not from here. Also, you asked me what a mouse was when you first tried to use my computer. Dead giveaway. And you're okay with this? Jake shrugged. Honestly, after 18 hours of Windows updates, an alien invasion sounds kind of relaxing. At least aliens are supposed to be unpredictable. My computer crashes for no reason and then acts like it's my fault. Marcus 7 laughed, a sound that came out more like a computer rebooting, but Jake seemed to understand it was meant to be joyful. Would you be interested in teaching other members of my species about human technological adaptation techniques? You mean like showing aliens how to survive Windows updates and printer installations? Among other things, yes. Jake's eyes lit up with the kind of enthusiasm usually reserved for discovering new video games. That sounds awesome. Can I put it on my college application? Alien Cultural Exchange Specialist has to look better than part-time burger flipper. 6 months later, Marcus 7 had established Marcus's Tech Support and Cultural Exchange Center in Jake's neighborhood. The sign in the window read, "No problem too strange. No update too frustrating." Business was booming, mostly with confused aliens who'd been sent to infiltrate Earth and had instead discovered the therapeutic value of accepting technological chaos. Commander Boris visited once, experienced his first Windows update, and immediately declared Earth a protected research zone. He now ran a support group for alien commanders dealing with the psychological trauma of progress bars. The invasion fleet had been converted into a study group. They met weekly to discuss human adaptation strategies and share stories about their own encounters with Earth technology. Last week, General Rex had given a presentation about something called smartphone autocorrect that had left several officers in tears. Marcus 7 was teaching Jake basic quantum programming in exchange for lessons in turning it off and on again when an urgent message came through from the Galactic Council. Marcus 7 were sending a delegation to study these human Windows updates. Could you prepare a demonstration? Marcus 7 looked at Jake, who was already grinning. Tell them to bring snacks, Jake said, and maybe some board games. This is going to take a while. Marcus 7 had found his true calling, not as a conqueror of worlds, but as a translator between species that took technology too seriously and the one species that had learned to laugh at it instead. And every Tuesday, when the updates rolled around like clockwork, he was reminded that sometimes the best way to win a war is to convince your enemies to sit down, relax, and wait for the progress bar to finish loading. After all, patience wasn't just a virtue. On Earth, it was a superpower.